everything they say, I agree with. Everybody in this country isn't healthy, especially if you're poor and working class. If you're like me and you're upper middle class and you can afford organic food and time to exercise and time for meditation and yoga and vacations, then you're doing great and you're going to have a really nice life, even if you have like the aches and pains that you're talking about. If you're a working class, poor person, and now also increasingly middle class person in this country, and you don't have access to that kind of food because it's too expensive, and you don't have time to exercise or relax or sleep, and you're constantly worried because you don't have money for next month's rent, then you're going to have a lot of metabolic syndromes, as they would call them. You're just going to be unhealthy. And I think that's what a lot of people in this country have. And so I agree with everything they say about that. The problem is that what they're doing is and this is not a new problem. We know about processed foods and super processed foods, they like to call it. They make up these categories. And we know that a lot of people's diets are really bad, especially children. And the problem is not that. The problem is that in the last 4 years, since the rollout of the mRNA COVID shots, there has been an enormous rise in autoimmune disease, infertility, cancer, autoimmune cancer, infertility, heart disease in young people. I mean, that's a huge one, right? So what Casey and Callie's job is to say, oh, yeah. There's a huge increase in infertility and cancer, in autoimmune diseases, in heart disease. And all of this has been going on for a long, long time. So let's look at the last 30 years. Let's not look at the last 3 or 4 years. Let's not talk about the proximal cause of it. Let's just talk about these general toxic stews that we're all in our, there's toxic chemicals in our environment and there's toxic chemicals in our food. All true. This is all true. It's been going on for ages. People have been calling it out for many decades. But there's an acute problem here, which is the mRNA vaccines that we're not going to talk about. Not only are we not going to talk about it, but we are going to obscure and hide the harms that those things are causing by putting out studies. And I can show you studies that are being put out constantly, that they started putting out in 2021, that say either that heart disease in young people and autoimmune, all the things that the COVID shots cause, are actually either caused by COVID, or they give you this long timeline and say these things have been rising forever, and now they're just at an all-time high because, I don't know, because they've been going on forever and now they're still going on. Not to mention deaths from the COVID shots, which they're never going to talk about, in which there's so many efforts to, every database has been corrupted, and every, government tracking method has been either hidden or corrupted or, changed. So there's a huge global effort to hide the harms of these vaccines, and they're just a little tiny aspect of that. Yes. So the sequence. So this is how it goes. This is the play, as I call it. Here's what you say: we want our kids to be healthy. Yes. We want all people to be healthy. Yes. It's all interconnected with all the systems. Sure. With all the issues. Yeah. Let's make it super, super general, because people like me and the medical freedom movement and the people who propelled RFK Jr. into the position in which these people found him in order to throw him in with Trump, we all care about why specific things are being caused by specific items that were forced upon the entire world's population, namely the COVID vaccine. So yeah, let's just talk about it in general. Then let's say we live in a toxic stew. Yes, there's terrible chemicals everywhere. This year in 2024, the highest rates in American history of Alzheimer's, cancer, autoimmune conditions, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, they said it twice, kidney disease, autism, every single chronic disease you could think of is at an all-time high, right? So they're giving us those diseases, and they mention autism in knowing that our movement cares about the vaccine connection to autism, not just the mRNA vaccines, but all vaccines. But they're going to just group that all together with the chronic disease epidemic that's been happening forever and the toxic stew that we're in. So let's not look at anything specific. And then what are we going to do about it? Bobby is going to instruct the NIH with President Trump to do unbiased research on every single area that impacts American public health. That's what they're going to do. How does that sound in terms of a solution, a non-solution to a non-problem? And a non-solution to a non-problem, which hides the actual solution to the actual problem, which is A, get the mRNA products off the market, and B, let's talk about how they got there in the first place.
If you liked this video, check out the full interview. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you get notified every time a new video is uploaded. Thanks for watching.